December 16th, 1944. The Ardennes Forest, Belgium. Private First Class James Holland crouches behind a stone wall as the earth shakes beneath him. Through the morning fog, he sees it. A shape emerging from the mist like something from a nightmare. 56 tons of German steel. The Tiger tank's engine roars, a sound that freezes American blood from the English Channel to the Swiss border. Its 88mm cannon swivels, searching. Holland looks down at the weapon in his hands. The M9, a one bazooka, 60mm of American ingenuity that looks like a length of stovepipe welded to a rifle stock. His squad calls it other names. The drainpipe. The toy. That useless piece of junk. Back at training camp in Georgia, the instructors had been honest about its limitations against heavy armor. Quote, "It's better than rocks," they said, "but not by much. The German tankers have names for it too. Kinderspielzeug, children's toys. German tank commanders joke about American infantry armed with bazookas the same way fighter pilots joke about anti-aircraft fire. Amusing, unthreatening, beneath concern. Every panzer crew has heard the stories. The bazooka's shaped charge warhead produces barely 4 inches of penetration. The Tiger's frontal armor measures 4 inches. 4.3, to be precise. Basic mathematics suggests the Tiger should be invulnerable to infantry attack. Holland doesn't know much about mathematics, but he knows what he saw 3 hours ago when the German offensive began. He watched bazookas bounce off panzer armor like pebbles off castle walls. He watched good men die trying to stop tanks that laughed at American firepower. The Tiger is 60 yards away now. 50. 40. What Holland doesn't know, what nobody in the Ardennes knows yet, is that the next 72 hours will rewrite every assumption about infantry anti-tank warfare. That, the toy in his hands, is about to prove that German confidence is not invulnerability. That close-range determination matters more than frontal armor. That sometimes history turns on the courage of men who refuse to accept what experts say is impossible. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the story, hit the subscribe button and let us know in the comments from where in the world you are watching from today. The bazooka began as an accident of desperation. In 1941, the United States Army faced a problem that kept ordnance officers awake at night. German panzers were rolling across Europe with armor too thick for infantry weapons to penetrate. The British boy's anti-tank rifle, firing massive 55 caliber rounds, could barely scratch newer tank designs. Rifle grenades lacked range and power. American infantry needed something portable, something powerful, something that could be manufactured quickly. Lieutenant Edward Uhl walked past a scrap pile at Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland in early 1942. The Army had tasked him with finding a delivery system for a new shaped charge grenade. The grenade worked. The shaped charge technology was revolutionary. A cone of high explosive that focused its blast into a jet of superheated metal traveling at 25,000 feet per second. It could burn through armor like a blowtorch through butter. The problem was getting it close enough to the target. Uhl spotted a length of steel tubing in the scrap heap, 2.36 inches in diameter, exactly the size of the new grenade. The concept materialized in seconds. Put the grenade on a rocket, fire the rocket through a tube, let the soldier's shoulder absorb the recoil. During tests at Aberdeen, someone remarked that the prototype looked like Bob Burns' bazooka. Burns was a radio comedian who played a musical instrument made from plumbing pipes. The name stuck. By June 1942, the Army had its first rocket-propelled anti-tank weapon, the rocket launcher M1. Official designation: everyone called it the bazooka. The first combat use came in November 1942, during Operation Torch in North Africa. It failed spectacularly. The battery-powered ignition system broke during rough handling. The rockets failed to detonate. Those that did fire often bounced off target without exploding. German tank crews reported being hit by American rocket weapons with amusement rather than concern. After action, reports were damning. Quote, "The M1 launcher has proven unreliable in combat conditions. Penetration against even medium armor is questionable. Recommend immediate redesign or discontinuation. The German assessment was even more dismissive. Captured bazookas were shipped to ordnance facilities in Germany for evaluation. The report concluded, quote, American infantry anti-tank weapon poses minimal threat to armored vehicles. Shaped charge warhead effective against light armor only. Delivery system primitive. Range inadequate. German soldiers began calling them Kinderspielzeug. The weapon children would make if children designed weapons. But American engineers don't abandon good ideas easily. The improved M1A1 launcher appeared in 1943. The battery system was replaced with a magneto-ignition triggered mechanically. The M6A1 rocket was more reliable. More importantly, the M6A3 rocket featured a blunted nose instead of a pointed one. The pointed nose had been deflecting off sloped armor. The blunt nose detonated properly on contact. During the Allied invasion of Sicily in July 1943, M1A1 bazookas knocked out 4 medium German tanks. Then came the improbable. A bazooka round struck a Tiger-heavy tank through the driver's vision slot. The shaped charge penetrated the tank's interior, killing the crew. It was a 1-in-a-million shot. Luck, not capability. But it proved the Tiger could be killed by infantry weapons. The psychological impact rippled through both armies. American troops gained confidence. German crews gained caution. By late 1943, the improved M9 bazooka entered service. 5 feet long instead of 4.5. Collapsible into 2 sections for paratroopers, an optical sight for better accuracy. Most importantly, the M6A3 rocket could penetrate up to 4 inches of armor plate at any range. The shaped charge didn't lose effectiveness over distance like conventional shells. If it hit, it penetrated. The mathematics of tank warfare shifted. The Tiger tank's frontal armor remained impervious. 100 millimeters thick. 4 inches wouldn't cut it, but the Tiger's side armor measured 80 millimeters. The rear armor, 80 millimeters. The top armor, just 25 to 40 millimeters. The Tiger was invulnerable from the front. From any other angle, it was vulnerable. American training doctrine emphasized this reality. Quote, Bazooka teams engaging heavy armor must maneuver to flank positions. Frontal engagement is prohibited. Seek side and rear shots. Aim for engine compartments, turret rings, tracks, running gear. But doctrine is written in peacetime, by men at desks. Combat is written in mud and blood by men who do what works. What worked at Arnhem for Major Robert Kane with his Piat wasn't necessarily what would work in the Ardennes. Different weapon, different enemy, different terrain. The Americans would have to learn their own lessons. German intelligence officers in late 1944 compiled assessments of American infantry anti-tank capabilities. The conclusion remained consistent with earlier reports. American bazookas pose manageable threat to German armor. Tiger and Panther frontal armor impervious to bazooka fire. Crews advised to maintain forward-facing positions when engaging American infantry. Side and rear attacks possible but require American forces to maneuver into exposed positions unlikely under combat conditions. The assessment would prove catastrophically wrong, not because German analysis was incorrect. It was perfectly accurate about the weapon's technical capabilities. The error was assuming that American infantry would fight by the rules that kept them alive. The Ardennes would teach a different lesson. Desperate men with inadequate weapons accomplish impossible things when retreat means death. December 16th, 1944, 05:30 hours. The German offensive explodes across the Ardennes front with overwhelming force. Operation Wacht am Rhein, Watch on the Rhine, the largest German attack in the West since 1940. Over 400,000 men, 1,400 tanks and armoured vehicles. The objective: smash through American lines, capture Antwerp, split Allied forces, force a negotiated peace. The American formations taking the brunt face impossible odds. The 99th Infantry Division. Green troops who had arrived in theatre weeks earlier. The 106th Infantry Division. Even greener. The 28th Infantry Division. Battered from months of fighting in the Ardennes Forest, none have significant armor support, none expect major German attack. Intelligence has convinced commanders that German forces are incapable of offensive operations. The American infantry's primary anti-tank weapon is the newly issued M9 bazooka. Each infantry company has bazooka teams, 2 men per team, gunner and loader. The gunner carries the 15-pound launcher. The loader carries 6 rockets, weighing 3.5 pounds each. Together, they carry 36 pounds of equipment, while other infantrymen carry 30 pounds total. It's a burden. It's also their only chance against panzers. The fog is so thick on December 16th that visibility drops to 50 yards. Perfect conditions for German armor. American artillery spotters can't see targets. Fighter bombers remain grounded. The infantry is alone. When the German tanks appear, they appear suddenly. Massive shapes emerging from the mist. Panthers, Mark IVs, Tigers, followed by infantry in white winter camouflage that makes them invisible against snow. Private First Class Stanley Wojtusik of the 422nd Infantry Regiment watches German armor roll toward his position near Schnee-Eifel. His unit has bazookas. Not enough bazookas. Not enough rockets. Not enough anything. He later recalls, quote, "We hadn't received our supplies and were short of bazookas. But I don't know if that would have really stopped them unless you hit them right in the bogey wheels. We surely couldn't stop them with our M1 rifles." The German tanks roll over American positions like ocean waves over sandcastles. Defensive lines collapse, units scatter, communications break down. By nightfall on December 16th, the German offensive has penetrated up to 12 miles in some sectors. American casualties number in the thousands. Entire regiments are surrounded. The situation is catastrophic. But something unexpected happens. In pockets across the Ardennes, American bazooka teams are discovering that the toy weapon works. Not because it's powerful, because they're desperate enough to use it correctly. At Krinkelt-Rocherath, bazooka teams from the 2nd and 9th Infantry Divisions use fog and buildings for cover. They let German armor pass their positions. Then they fire into side and rear armor from 50 yards. 21 German armored vehicles burn by day's end. The crews thought they were attacking through broken American lines. They were advancing into ambushes. The tactic violates every survival instinct. Let the tank pass. The tank that can kill you with one shot. Let it pass so you can shoot it in the back. At point-blank range where you can't miss, but the tank's machine guns can't miss either. It requires nerve that training doesn't teach. But it works. Near Elsenborn Ridge, Sergeant Thomas McKinley's bazooka team engages a Panzer IV at 40 yards. The first shot misses high. The tank's turret swivels toward them. The second shot hits the turret ring. The shaped charge burns through, detonating ammunition inside. The tank explodes with such force that debris lands 50 yards away. McKinley's loader, Private Robert Chen, later writes home, quote, "We were supposed to be dead. The tank was supposed to be invincible. Neither happened. The bazooka worked. We worked." Maybe that's the same thing. At St. Vith, bazooka teams discover that German tanks in urban terrain are blind and vulnerable. The Tigers and Panthers have excellent optics for long-range engagement. In streets narrowed by rubble, with sightlines measured in yards instead of hundreds of yards, their advantages disappear. American infantry shoot from windows, from basements, from doorways. Then they displace before return fire arrives. It's deadly dangerous. Bazooka team casualties are catastrophic. But tanks stop advancing. Tank commanders become cautious. Caution slows the offensive. German after action. Reports from December 17th note increasing resistance from American anti-tank weapons. Quote, "Enemy infantry employing close-range rocket launchers with unexpected effectiveness. Crews report multiple hits to side and rear armor, advance slowed by necessity to clear buildings and defensive positions. American infantry proving more determined than intelligence assessments suggested. The German assessment misses the crucial point. American determination isn't surprising. American tactics are. Nobody taught them to hunt tanks in urban terrain. Nobody taught them to let armor pass their positions before firing. Nobody taught them that the best defense against a tiger is offense at 50 yards. They're learning by doing. The ones who learn, survive. The ones who survive teach others. By December 18th, the bazooka is earning respect from both sides. At Bastogne, the 101st Airborne Division arrives by truck on December 19th. They dig in around the crucial, crossroads town. 7 roads converge on Bastogne. Whoever controls it controls movement through the southern Ardennes. The Germans need Bastogne. The siege begins on December 20th. German forces encircle the town. Armor probes the perimeter constantly. The 101st has bazookas, not many. Ammunition runs low by December 22nd. Each shot must count. Paratroopers learn to calculate angles. Where will that tank go? Can we get to a side street? Can we shoot from a basement window into the engine deck? The key insight comes from necessity. You don't need to destroy a tank to stop it. Destroy the track. The tank can't move. Destroy the engine. The tank can't move. Hit the turret ring. The turret can't traverse. A mobility kill is enough. The crew will abandon a damaged tank rather than become a target. Bazookas are perfect for mobility kills. Sergeant Horace McKinley, no relation to Thomas McKinley at Elsenborn, leads a bazooka team that immobilizes 3 German tanks during the siege. He positions his team at a street corner, waits for tanks to make the turn, fires at the outside track from 30 yards. The shaped charge cuts through the track like scissors through rope. Tank stops, crew bails out. His citation notes, quote, Sergeant McKinley's aggressive use of anti-tank weapons prevented enemy armor from penetrating defensive positions at a critical juncture. By December 23rd, German commanders are reporting unexpected resistance from American infantry anti-tank teams. The reports note that American use of close assault tactics has negated German armor advantages in urban terrain. One German officer writes, quote, The American rocket weapon is crude but effective when employed by determined troops willing to accept casualties. Our forces are experiencing significant armor losses in built-up areas. If you find this story engaging, please take a moment to subscribe and enable notifications. It helps us continue producing in-depth content like this. The psychological shift happens gradually, then suddenly. American troops stop viewing the bazooka as inadequate. They start viewing it as essential. German tank crews stop viewing American infantry as negligible threats. They start treating every building, every wall, every street corner as a potential bazooka position. Fear changes tactics. Tactics change outcomes. But the most dramatic demonstration of the bazooka's potential comes not from infantry on the ground. It comes from a history teacher from Illinois who decided that flying an unarmed observation plane wasn't aggressive enough. Major Charles Carpenter is 32 years old in September 1944. Too old for infantry combat, perfect age for artillery observation. He flies an L-4 Grasshopper, the military version of the Piper Cub, a fabric-covered aircraft with a top speed of 85 miles per hour, maximum payload 232 pounds, including pilot and passenger. No armor, no weapons, designed for spotting enemy positions and directing artillery fire. Carpenter hates it. Not the flying. He loves flying. He hates watching American troops die while he circles overhead, noting grid coordinates for artillery that may or may not arrive in time. During the fighting around Lorient, he watches German armor attack American positions. The attack aircraft are busy elsewhere. Artillery can't get clear shots. American infantry is pinned down taking casualties. Carpenter watches from 1,500 feet up, helpless, furious. Then he hears about army pilots who mounted bazookas on L-4 struts. Lieutenants Harley Merrick and Roy Carson did it first, used them to destroy 2 trucks. The concept is insane. The L-4 is a scout plane, fabric and wood. A strong wind can flip it. The backblast from a bazooka could tear the wings off. Mounting rockets on an unarmed observation plane violates every principle of aviation safety. Carpenter asks his mechanics if it's possible. Sergeant Harry Fisk and Corporal Hermann Hettinger study the problem. The L4's struts connect wings to fuselage. They're designed to handle stress. Mounting bazookas there distributes weight evenly. The backblast would fire rearward, away from the aircraft structure. Theoretically possible. Probably survivable. Probably. They start with two M1 bazookas, mount them on the struts, wire them to electrical switches in the cockpit. Test fire without rockets. The aircraft shakes but holds together. They load live rockets. Carpenter takes it up, finds an abandoned vehicle on a firing range, dives to 200 feet, fires. The rocket streaks downrange, trailing smoke, hits the target. The explosion is satisfying. The L4 stays airborne. Carpenter grins like a maniac. He names the aircraft Rosie the Rocketeer, adds 4 more bazookas, 6 total, 3 per strut, goes hunting. His first kill is a German armoured car near Ardennes. He spots it from altitude, spirals down to confuse ground fire, levels off at 100 feet, fires 2 rockets. The armoured car explodes. Carpenter pulls up hard, climbing back to safety before German troops can organise response fire. The Germans think it's a fluke. American artillery got lucky. Nobody told them to watch for cubs with rockets. They don't fear observation planes. Observation planes don't shoot back. Then Carpenter destroys another vehicle, then 2 more, then a tank. German troops start firing at every L4 they see. Rifle fire, machine gun fire, anti-aircraft fire. The harmless spotter plane is suddenly the most dangerous aircraft on the battlefield. Carpenter's tactic is simple and terrifying. Find the target, dive. Fire from 100 meters. Pull up. The shallow dive gives him enough speed for control. 100 meters is close enough to hit tanks, but high enough that small arms fire is inaccurate. The rockets don't need much accuracy. Shaped charge warheads work whether they hit at 500 yards or 10 feet. The challenge is aiming while diving while being shot at by tanks and infantry. September 20th, 1944. The Battle of Ardennes. German 5th Panzer Army counterattacks near Nancy, France. Panther tanks and Mark IVs supported by infantry attempt to break through American positions. 4th Armoured Division support units are pinned down. American tanks can't maneuver into firing positions. Artillery spotter aircraft can't see through morning fog. German armour is winning. Carpenter takes off into the fog, climbs above it, breaks into clear air at 3,000 feet. Below him, a solid grey blanket covers the battlefield. He circles, waiting. The fog begins to break up around 0900 hours. Gaps appear. Through one gap he sees German armour, a column of Panthers and armoured cars moving toward American positions. Carpenter pushes the stick forward. The L4 noses down, accelerating. Fabric wings flutter in the airstream. The altimeter unwinds. 2,000 feet, 1,500, 1,000. He breaks through the fog at 800 feet. The German column is dead ahead. He dives steeper. 500 feet, 300. German infantry below start firing. Tracers arc past the wing, 200 feet. He's close enough to see commanders standing in tank cupolas, 100 feet. He thumbs the fire switch. All 6 bazookas fire simultaneously. 6 rockets streak down range in 1 second. The first Panther explodes when 2 rockets hit the engine compartment. The shaped charges burn through rear armour, igniting fuel and ammunition. The tank lurches, burns, stops. The second Panther takes 1 hit to the turret ring. The turret locks. The crew bails out immediately. An armoured car detonates when a rocket hits its ammunition. 3 vehicles destroyed or disabled in seconds. Carpenter pulls up hard. The L4 shudders, climbs. Ground fire intensifies. Bullets punch through fabric wings. 1 round clips the landing gear strut. He climbs back into the fog, levels off, heads back to base, lands. His mechanics count 14 bullet holes. They patch the fabric with tape and dope. Reload the bazookas. Carpenter takes off again, returns to Ardennes, finds more targets, fires, returns, reloads, repeats. By day's end, Carpenter has made 3 combat sorties. Fired 16 rockets, knocked out 2 Panther tanks, 1 armoured car, immobilised 2 more vehicles. The German counterattack stalls. 4th Armoured Division support units escape encirclement. American ground troops who witnessed Carpenter's attacks report disbelief followed by jubilation. One sergeant writes in his diary, quote, "We watched a cub shoot rockets at Panthers. A cub. I thought I was hallucinating. But the Panthers burned. They actually burned." German after-action reports from Aracourt note, quote, "American forces employing light aircraft armed with anti-tank rockets, tactics unconventional and highly effective. Aircraft approach at extremely low altitude making engagement difficult. Recommend increased anti-aircraft coverage for armor formations. Observation aircraft are no longer passive reconnaissance assets. The Germans start calling Carpenter der verrückte Major, the mad major. Every time a cub appears, German troops fire everything. Not because cubs are dangerous, because this cub is dangerous, the one with rockets, the one that kills tanks. They don't know which cub is which until it starts shooting, so they shoot at all of them. American artillery spotters start taking casualties. Pilots who never drew fire before are suddenly being targeted. Some complain. Most understand. Carpenter changed the game. If one cub carries rockets, maybe they all do. German troops can't take chances. The innocent suffer with the guilty. It's war. Carpenter himself tells a Stars and Stripes reporter, quote, "Word must be getting around to watch out for cubs with bazookas on them. Every time I show up now they shoot with everything they have. They never used to bother cubs. Bazookas must be bothering them a bit, bothering them considerably." As it happens, by October 1944, Carpenter is officially credited with 6 tanks destroyed, including 2 Tiger ones. Unofficial estimates suggest 14 or more tanks and armoured vehicles knocked out. The exact count is disputed. What's undisputed is the psychological effect. German tankers who considered themselves invulnerable to infantry weapons now fear attack from above by an aircraft made of fabric and wood. The bazooka transformed from toy to terror. December 19th, 1944. Lutherberg, Germany. Sergeant George Burns crouches in the doorway of a concrete building that houses what remains of Company F's 2nd Platoon. The platoon suffered heavy casualties during the initial assault on this town, 12 miles inside German territory. The 104th Infantry Division, the Timberwolves, pushed deep into enemy territory before the Bulge offensive began. Now they're isolated, surrounded, fighting for survival. Burns hears the tank before he sees it. That distinctive rumble of a German heavy. Through the morning haze, it appears. A Tiger. 56 tons of armour moving down the narrow street with the confidence of a predator that has no natural enemies. Behind it, German infantry. Feldgrau uniforms blending with the grey buildings and grey sky. The platoon has 1 bazooka. Burns isn't the designated gunner. He's a sergeant, squad leader. His job is coordination, not operating weapons. But the designated bazooka team died yesterday during street fighting. Someone needs to use it. Burns unstraps the launcher from the side of a destroyed American tank destroyer, grabs 4 rockets, walks back toward the Tiger. A soldier appears beside him. Burns never learns his name. The soldier says, "If you've got guts enough to go after the tank, I'll help you with the ammo and reload for you." Burns nods. They move through the rubble, using destroyed buildings for cover. The Tiger is 60 yards away. 50. The turret swivels left, searching. Burns and his loader reach a doorway 40 yards from the tank. Burns shoulders the bazooka, aims at the junction between turret and hull, fires. The rocket streaks across the gap, hits the Tiger's side armour. The shaped charge detonates. The explosion sounds different from artillery. Sharper, more focused. Burns knows immediately it didn't penetrate. The hit was too high, struck sloped armour at a bad angle. The shaped charge worked, but the geometry was wrong. The Tiger keeps moving. Burns reloads. Fires again. Misses completely. The rocket flies over the turret, explodes against a building. The Tiger commander sees the smoke trail. The turret begins to traverse. Burns doesn't have time for careful aim. He steps out from the doorway, stands in the open street 30 yards from a Tiger tank, fires point blank at the side armor. The rocket hits square on the vertical side plate. The shaped charge burns through 80 millimeters of armor like a blowtorch through sheet metal. The molten jet penetrates the crew compartment. Burns doesn't see what happens inside. He sees smoke venting from hatches, hears screaming. The tank lurches, grinds to a halt. The engine dies. Burns doesn't wait to see if the crew evacuates. He's already reloading, already moving. The Tiger might have friends. German infantry definitely have friends. He and his unnamed loader withdraw through the buildings, putting distance and concrete between themselves and the kill site. Behind them, the Tiger burns. Secondary explosions as ammunition cooks off. Black smoke rising into the December sky. 2 days later, Burns engages another Tiger. This time, he's learned from experience. He positions himself at a street corner. Lets the tank commit to the turn. When it's broadside to him at 40 yards, vulnerable, he fires 3 rockets in succession. The first hits tracks, immobilizing the vehicle. The second hits the turret ring. The third hits the engine compartment. The Tiger doesn't burn this time. It simply stops. The crew evacuates immediately. They know what comes next. Either American artillery or more bazookas. Either way, staying inside a disabled tank is suicide. Major General Terry Allen, commander of the 104th Infantry Division, awards Burns the Silver Star and promotes him to second lieutenant on the spot. The citation reads, quote, "For gallantry in action against an armed enemy, Lieutenant Burns repeatedly exposed himself to enemy fire while engaging enemy armor with handheld anti-tank weapons. His courage and skill directly resulted in the destruction of 2 Tiger tanks and preservation of American defensive positions. Burns' actions are noteworthy, but not unique. Across the Ardennes, American infantry are discovering that aggressive bazooka tactics work. Not safely, not without casualties, but they work. The mathematical problem hasn't changed. The bazooka still can't penetrate Tiger frontal armor. Tigers still outgun, outweigh, and outrange infantry. What changed is American willingness to get close enough that frontal armor doesn't matter. At Bastogne, Corporal Willis Freeman's bazooka team develops a technique they call tank herding. When a German tank approaches, they don't engage immediately. They fire 1 round from a flanking position, not trying to kill, trying to turn. The tank commander, hearing the hit, assumes he's vulnerable from that direction. He turns the tank to face the threat. This exposes his side to other bazooka teams positioned in mutually supporting positions. They fire. The shaped charges hit side armor. The tank stops or burns. Freeman's team uses this technique to knock out 4 German tanks during the siege, never firing more than 2 rockets per tank, never exposing themselves longer than necessary. One team member recalls, quote, "We weren't trying to be heroes. We were trying to stay alive while killing tanks. The bazooka was perfect for that if you used your head. If you stood in the street shooting at frontal armor like John Wayne, you died. If you set up an ambush and shot the soft spots, the tank died. It wasn't complicated. The technique spreads through word of mouth and necessity." By Christmas Day, 1944, bazooka teams throughout Bastogne are using coordinated fire tactics, position multiple teams with overlapping fields of fire, wait for German armor to approach, fire simultaneously from multiple angles. Even if individual hits don't kill, multiple mobility hits guarantee the tank stops moving. A stopped tank is a dead tank. German commanders recognize the problem. A December 23rd report notes, quote, "American infantry anti-tank tactics increasingly sophisticated. Coordinated bazooka fire from multiple positions effective against side and rear armor. Tank losses in urban terrain becoming unsustainable. Recommend withdrawal of armor from built-up areas until infantry can clear American positions. The recommendation is rejected. The German offensive timeline doesn't allow for methodical clearing operations. They need Bastogne now. They need St. Vith now. They need to reach the Meuse River before American reinforcements arrive, so the tanks keep attacking, and American bazookas keep killing them. The numbers tell the story. During the Battle of the Bulge, American bazooka teams are credited with destroying or disabling approximately 85 German tanks and armoured vehicles. 85. The official count is certainly low. Many disabled tanks are later destroyed by artillery or airstrikes. Many crew kills are attributed to other weapons. But even using conservative estimates, the bazooka accounts for more German armour losses than any other infantry weapon during the Ardennes fighting. The effectiveness rate surprises military analysts. Pre-war doctrine suggested that shaped charge infantry weapons would achieve perhaps 5% hit rate against moving armour under combat conditions. Actual combat data shows hit rates above 30% when bazooka teams use proper ambush tactics. The difference is positioning. Doctrine assumed infantry would engage armour at medium range during mobile operations. Reality showed infantry engaging at close range from prepared positions. Private Kenneth Russell serves with the 327th Glider Infantry Regiment at Bastogne. His bazooka team knocks out 2 German tanks on December 22nd. He later writes in his memoir, quote, "The training we received back in the States was useless. They taught us to fire from 200 yards at moving targets. In Bastogne, we fired from 40 yards at targets that didn't know we were there." The bazooka training should have been about patience and positioning, not marksmanship. Any idiot can hit a tank from 40 yards. The skill is getting to 40 yards, without the tank killing you first. Russell identifies the crucial insight. The bazooka's effectiveness isn't limited by its technology, it's limited by the tactics used to employ it. American infantry at the Bulge developed tactics born from necessity. No one ordered them to let tanks pass their positions. No one ordered them to fire at tracks and engine compartments instead of turrets. No one ordered them to coordinate fires from multiple positions. They figured it out because the alternative was death or capture. German tank crews adapt too, but more slowly. By late December, panzer commanders are refusing to enter urban areas without infantry support. They're maintaining greater distances from buildings. They're covering each other while moving through confined spaces. These adaptations reduce casualties, but also reduce effectiveness. A tiger that stays 500 yards from American positions can't be killed by bazookas. It also can't support German infantry attacking those positions. Caution reduces risk. It also reduces capability. The stalemate breaks when weather clears on December 23rd. American fighter bombers appear in numbers, P-47s, P-51s. They carry bombs and rockets. They attack German armour throughout the Ardennes with devastating effect. But even aerial attacks face limitations. Tanks dug into defensive positions survive. Tanks in forests survive. Tanks operating at night survive. Infantry with bazookas remain essential. On Christmas Day, the German assault on Bastogne intensifies. Tiger IIs from Heavy Tank Battalion 506 support an attack by the 12th SS Hitler-Jugend Division. The Tiger II, also called King Tiger, is the heaviest operational tank of World War II. 69 tons. Frontal armour 150 mm thick. The M9 bazooka cannot penetrate King Tiger frontal armour under any circumstances. The mathematics simply don't work. 102 mm of penetration versus 150 mm of armour. But the King Tiger's side armour is 80 mm, the same as Tiger I. And American infantry at Bastogne have had 5 days to prepare defensive positions. Basement windows overlooking streets, upper story windows overlooking tank routes, concealed positions in rubble piles. When the King Tigers attack, they're advancing through a 3-dimensional ambush. The fighting at Bastogne on Christmas Day demonstrates the evolved American tactics. German tanks advance, supported by infantry. American defenders hold fire until tanks are committed to the street. Then bazooka teams engage from multiple levels simultaneously. Window positions fire at turret tops. Basement positions fire at tracks and lower hull. The King Tigers have thick armour but can't bring weapons to bear on all threat directions simultaneously. Multiple hits from multiple angles overwhelm defensive capabilities. One King Tiger is hit 7 times during its advance down a single street. 3 hits to tracks, 2 hits to engine deck, 2 hits to turret ring. None penetrate the turret itself. All contribute to mobility and mechanical failure. The tank stops moving after advancing 300 yards. The crew evacuates. American infantry pour rifle fire into the open hatches. The King Tiger sits disabled in the middle of Bastogne, blocking the street, providing cover for American positions. A 69-ton roadblock. German after-action reports from December 25th note, quote, heavy tank losses in Bastogne sector. American anti-tank capabilities exceeded expectations. Coordinated infantry weapons fire effective against even heavy armor when employment conditions favor defense. Recommend tactical reassessment. The tactical reassessment never happens. By December 26th, Patton's Third Army breaks through to relieve Bastogne. By January 7th, Hitler orders withdrawal. The Bulge offensive failed for many reasons: fuel shortages, air superiority, extended supply lines, stubborn American defense. Among those reasons, buried in after-action reports and casualty statistics, is a simpler truth. American infantry with bazookas killed enough German tanks to slow the offensive at critical moments. They bought time. Time for reinforcements to arrive. Time for weather to clear. Time for the Allied response to organize. The bazooka didn't win the Battle of the Bulge. Infantry with bazookas, willing to accept catastrophic casualties to stop enemy armor at close range, contributed to denying Germany its objective. Their weapon was crude, short-ranged, inadequate against frontal armor. It didn't matter. They used it anyway. They made it work through courage and tactical innovation. For more detailed historical breakdowns, check out the other videos on your screen now, and don't forget to subscribe.